guys, how's it doing? I hope you guys are doing well. So today we're gonna keep working with ISE and the switch to get some authentications happening. But before we go through the practical, let's go with a little bit of theory. So today I'm gonna talk about two methods of authentication. IP is a framework. There is some kind of authentications. But we will focus on these two. IP, which use MES v2 as the inner method, and IP-TLS. I don't know if we'll have time to configure both today, but for sure, at least IP will do. And here goes. Let me just expand this to you guys. I think you can see better. So basically here, how the IP process works for the IP. So between the supplicant and the authenticator, here is a wireless device, but it's same thing with a switch. We establish the 802.1 wireless connection. Then the authenticator force the device to send the identity. So identity should be, in this case, will be the username and password. What else we have here? So then after the supplicant provides this to the authenticator using the IP, we encapsulate this in a radius package and send to the authentication server. And remember, as I said, radius only crypt the password, so the username goes in a clear text. Then there is a reply back for the IP request. We start the PIP from the server. Then this is optional. In Windows, we can disable the server certificate validation, but I will show to you guys that it's possible to connect without trust in the authentication server, or even authenticate and release the certificate of the server, not the client, because to use client certificate and server certificate, it is IP-TLS, which is the more secure option, right? So, and I will give some examples to you guys. So here is the process. The inner method of the protected IP, it was created by Cisco and Microsoft, and is IP MES v2, right? So it's include this inside of a TLS tunnel. Get all frames, send to the ISE. ISE will validate in the Active Directory if the account is okay or not, and then we'll get back to the authenticator and say, okay, this guy can enter in our network. Basically, that's the process. Is the supplicant provides the credentials first. Before that, the authenticator, wireless controller, or the switch, or even the access point requests to the supplicant to provide credentials. After this credential is encapsulated in a radius package, is sent to ISE. ISE will validate the identity source. We already did that and talk about it. So we'll check if the source is a local database on ISE, or if it is an external identity source like Active Directory. Check, oh, this account is okay? Yeah, it's okay. Go back to the authenticator, say, hey, this guy is okay. We can allow him to go in. Basically, that's the process. Here there is more details on this one, and there is some difference between the IP-TLS and MES v2. I will focus on this one, and basically the level of encryption is public-private key cryptography. The authentication, it's 12 steps only. Supports SAML, LDAP, and MFA, and passwordless. We can use it because this is the IP-TLS, right? Because passwordless, why? Because we use certificates. For the PIP MES v2, they encrypt the credentials. There is a bit slow, supports Active Directory and passwords. We use passwords for PIP, and we use certificates for IP-TLS. So let's go back right now to IP-TLS. IP-TLS, basically the process is the same. But when the authentication server requests, it said, hey, this is my certificate. And then the client say, hey, this is my certificate. So it's mutual authentication. We can have, and on ISE, we can even still checking the login and password. So we check. That's why IP-TLS, of course, IP-TLS needs a PKI infrastructure, a public key infrastructure, which we need to have certificates to the clients, certificate in the server. We need to deploy this if you have like 1,000 devices, so you need to do an auto enrollment process to the endpoint or the supplicants. When joining your domain, they already receive a certificate. So it's the steps of IPTLS. ISE say, hey, this is my certificate. The client say, this is my certificate. If both match, we are allowed to join in the network. And on ISE, and I will show you that when we will talk about IPTLS, we will also add the option to validate the username and password on Active Directory. So let's go further. Let's configure the ISE to allow PIP, and then we go back and make some tests with where is it, with our friend here, user A. So let me start this one. Let me go back to my machine. Let's log into ISE and start that. So basically, last time on ISE, we already configured the network device. So that switch S003, it's here, it's okay. We also did some tests with the full authentication, right? So we did some tests with the normal authentication. Let's do again, just to confirm the communication from this switch to ISE. So here we go, don't check. Let me maximize that. We go, we are in. So we did some tests, AAA, group, radius, and we just use admin Cisco and new code to send a package to ISE just to confirm if ISE is reaching, if the switch is reaching the ISE. So okay, user rejected. Now we go back to ISE and let's see it. So 236 probably is this one, the last one. Yeah, 31, 236, 3 hours later, 3 hours earlier, because yeah, that's it. So right now, for example, we are going to the default authentication policy and also default authorization. So let's talk a little bit about the policies. Let me see what we have for policy here. So policy set is where we configure everything, is where we configure our policies. We will configure here, not everything, only the radius, the attack axis in other place. So basically we have one default policy, and let's go through it. Let's open it. What does the default policy say? If it is wired MAB or wireless, consulting the internal endpoints for MAB. So when we will check that when we will speak about MAB, because MAB is MAC address bypass, so it uses MAB, and this policy is already okay, right? It's done. And basically, let me explain pretty quick to you guys. So if the package coming from the switch or the controller, it's wired MAB or wireless MAB, what I will do for the MAB, I will say if user not found, continue, because it's a MAC address. So let's say about guest, we'll talk about guest later, but we don't have the MAC address for this device. We don't know, it's a new device, it's joining our guest network, it needs to be registered to get access to the internet. So basically that's why you have a continue if user not found, and we're gonna use the internal endpoints database. For the wireless, the .1x, what we have, if it is a package, if the package is .1x wired or wireless, we will consult all user ID stores. And where is this, guys? So basically, if you go here, go to administration, go to identity search sequence, let's see what is that option, what we have in this all user ID stores. What we have there, let's check that pretty quick to you guys, because remember, here is already a filter, it's a condition. So if it doesn't match this condition, will not work. We'll go to the default one, and the default one is deny any. So for example, this package is arriving when I do a test from the switch. Is not a wired .1x, is not a MAB. That's why we are reaching the default. And what the default say here, consulting the all user ID store, same thing. We will create our own and then you guys will check. But all user ID store, it's a sequence of authentication. So it checks for the certificate to use IPTLS and goes to the internal users, go to all AD join points and go to the guest users. Basically, it tries certificate, the internal users, all active directors and the guest users. That's why we are reaching this policy, but there is no certificate. It's not a wired connection. It's not a wireless connection, .1x. So that's why we are reaching the default, but the default say consulting this, and that's why we are denied, right? So basically here I can create our own. Usually I don't need to do that because we already joined to the AD, and I will show now to you guys. So basically what I'm gonna do, I will disable this map, I will disable this .1x, and I will say if you reach the default policy, just deny the access. That's it. That's what we want under the default. We can use the default for some things, but I don't like to use the default. I like to create my own, and that will be better to show to you guys. So basically I will disable this one, disable this one, disable this one as well for the IP phones. Then we go to the end and disable this one, and the default one will be deny access. So you're not gonna use this policy for nothing. So basically the authentication default action is deny, and the authorization default action is also deny. So let's create our own policy. We just click in the plus button and we give a name. And here is the first condition, the first filter. For example, I will say sec lab, sec lab policy, right? And let's use the first condition. Let's create a basic one, then we can ISE, it's so granular, but let's create, we only have wired 802.1x, right? Because we don't have a wireless connection. So let's use wired, and we say new, and let's use, I think this one is location, the device location, and let's say security lab, and let's save it here. So it should be the package. The first filter that we're gonna creating is the package should be a wired .1x, and the device location should match with security lab. Then we use the default network access. What that means? Let's go back there and check. So we came here, go to the policy results, right? We'll go there, we'll go here later. What we have here on the under the default network access, we have we allow the protocols that we want to use. For example, if I'm not using PAP ask, I don't wanna, I can remove it. If this policy is specific for .1x, so why I don't want to get this map going here, so I'm gonna remove the map option. So this option basically is used for the MAC address bypass. So let's go to the next one. I'm not gonna use IP. No, yes, I will use IPTLS, but I for sure I'm not gonna use IP MD5. Remember that I say that there is some options here. So I'm gonna use IPTLS. I'm not using LIP. And I'm not gonna use IPFast. We will talk about IPFast later because it's gonna use the supplicant from Cisco ciscosecure. But for this case, I can remove it, right? So I'm not using IPFast for sure, I know. So I can remove this one. This is also optional. You don't need to do that. But let's say I wanna remove IPTLS and TEAP. We will talk about that later as well. TEAP is another way to authenticate clients and computer at the same time, but we are not gonna use right now, so we can remove it, right? So, and I can save it. But for this case, to you guys show to you guys the logs and how we check that, I will leave it like this right now. Then I will create a new allowed protocols. with only the protocols that we will use. So that's a short explanation regarding what we have here. The first condition or the first filter to the endpoint match this policy will be this. So the location of the network device should be security lab, and the package should come as a wired.1x. So now we save that. After save it, we will go to the inside the policy, and there is more ways to filter here. So we can filter under the authentication, we can filter using the authorization, but let's do this. Let's create a new authorization. I like to call it, as Cisco says, auth for authentication. Let's say space .1x. And what kind of filters we will do here? Let's see it. We have a lot of options. ISE is so granular. You can do the same thing in a lot of ways, but there is some built-in options, some built-in conditions. So for this case that I know that I'm gonna use PIP, which is MES-SHAP v2, I can select this one, right? So I can select this one is ready. It's already done for MES-SHAP v2. I can use this and say, okay, if the package is coming after pass through the first condition, if it is a MES-SHAP v2, we're gonna use this one. And there is other ways to do. What I will do, I will use our Active Directory. So this is the first step for authentication. So to you guys understand how the policy works, the first condition, it should match both because I use AND. So it should be a .1x package wired, and the network access device should be on this location. That's it. And we are going to allow all the protocols that we just take a look at. So basically that's it. For the authentication part, what we're going to do, we will create a new authentication saying that if the package, the inner package is MES-SHAP v2, we are gonna use our Active Directory. Then and that doesn't mean that the client will be authorized. We are just authenticating the endpoint, right? So let's go to the next one, which is our authorization policy. The default one is deny access. So let's create one here, and remember that we bring some groups from the Active Directory to ISE. So right now we're gonna use it. So HR, and let's go here, and we go to these three little guys here. Select here. Go to these three guys here, which is the external identity source basically, and also some internal groups. So we go to SecLab external groups, the groups that we retrieved from the Active Directory. And then we're gonna, oh, I selected the wrong one. Here we go, let's start again. Identity group, external groups, now we are good. And then it's gonna give me the three groups, HR. If you save it here, save block as a library condition, we can create our own condition here. So we can say, for example, this condition IPTLS, there is this condition inside of it. I don't like it because to create, it will depend, all right, guys? But it's my way to do. It's put all the condition here instead of use an object, because you take a look in the policy and you see what's happened when we have some objects with all the conditions. It will works, but in a troubleshooting step you need to go to the library, check what is inside of that object, condition object, and then try to understand why it's not having a match or not. But my thing, I like to do like this. I already saw a lot of deployments using the conditions and works pretty well, works normal, but it's up to you. You can decide that. So in this case, I'm gonna use the basic stuff. Then we can keep working the lab and get some more more advanced options here. Basically, I'm not gonna change anything. I just will say permit access. If the guy is from the HR group, just permit access. Then later in our next classes, we will start to put some dynamic VLANs, some ACLs. We can try to use postory and other things that it's more advanced. But right now, let's just talk about authentication and authorization basic.1x. What I'm gonna do, I will duplicate this one to make my life easier and say this one will be the IT, and just change the group here. So here we go. Let's click here, remove this one, and this will be IT. So remember, you don't save here, you would say use here. The save button is to create a combined condition. So again, I'm gonna say duplicate below. This will be marketing or MKT. Same thing. Let's just check that. Just change the group. Okay. Remove MKT. Let's say use. And now we are gonna save it. So our policy basic.1x is ready. We can use it. So what it's gonna do, guys, if match this condition, I will go enter the policy, and if the package, the authentication part of the package match this condition, I will go to the authorization, right? And then I need to match HR, IT, or market security groups, and then I will permit access. So basically for ISE, we are good. There is just one thing that we need to check before go with, because since this is a lab, my server sometimes it changes the time zone automatically. I don't know why, but it was always like this, but only on this lab. So let's make sure that our AD it's synchronized with ISE. Remember that if you have like more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they will lose the connection, and so our authentication will fail it, because we will try to check in the Active Directory, and Active Directory will not be available for it. So let's go here, and let's hope that this is not happening. Yeah, not operational. So how can I check that? I need to go to our lab, open our friend AD lab, and check if what time it is, if the time is accurate or not. So by the way, while we are checking that, let me go here and say where's Pt.2. Here we go, Pt.2 is here. ISE01.securitylab.com. Here we go. Admin with the password. I think I typed it wrong, but let's see it. Yeah. Okay, so type it correctly right now. Show clock. It's using the Brazil time. So let's check our server, and maybe that's why, because the server is not available, right? So it's not even reaching. So give me 1 minute, I will check that and get back to you in a few seconds. Here we go, guys. Let's see it, what's gonna happen, because I just reload my server and now I'm able to log in. So let's go back to ISE and just double check if it is okay or not. So every time that say not operational, you need to join again. So again, my account, which has the power for add the machine to the domain, my password. Okay, it's failed. Username or password wrong. So let's try again once more, because now the AD is available. So astro.marino, my password. Okay, now it's failing, and it's failing against the user. Oh my god, I don't remember if I have this user. Okay, so this user does not exist. Let's go with the administrator with the password, and let's go back to ISE and perform the same thing. Yeah, it found the account, but it's not there. Let's check. We need to check, guys. Let's troubleshoot that right now. So we go to Active Directory, users and computers, and for some reason that I don't know, this guy, let's just test basic oh, they are in the same subnet, so there is no error between them. So basically they are here and here, so it doesn't need to. So let's check. It's saying no internet in the server, so there is some kind of issues here of communication, but let's see it. Let's go to the basic stuff, right? Let's ping the gateway, let's ping ISE and see what is happening. So ping 192.168.1.100, which is the gateway. You are good. We are .10, ISE is .11, so there is communication between them. Let's just double check. .10, .11. What else we can check here? We can do NS lookup to see the internet, but I don't think we have it yet. So wall.on, it's a Brazilian site, so we are able to go out. So don't know why this sign over here. So let's go back and check the users. Which users we have? I have John, Kevin, Mart for the SecLab users, and I have only administrator. So let's try once more, because maybe there is a typo from my side here. Let's go join. Here we go, administrator. Okay, now it's the error that I want to show you guys. So basically on ISE, it's, let's do again, it's 3:05 p.m. right? And this, it's saying that there is an error for the clock. So 3:05 on ISE, and what time is here? 6 and 6 p.m. So we need to fix that. But this is happening on this lab. I don't know why, but it was always like this. So every time that this happened, I need to go here, just change the date and time. We reduce 3 hours. Okay. Go back here. That's why I have to do a double check, because this server always changes the time, so I don't know why. So my password, let's click OK. Fail it again. Oh, now it was a matter of password. So join administrator, and here we go. Now we are completed with the communication between ISE and the server. So I have to do this, guys, because maybe this could happen in your lab and you keep trying to authenticate, and it's always a good idea to check if the communication between ISE and the Active Directory is okay or not. So hello guys, how's it doing? That's me. A little bit different from the photo, but that's me. So basically I will break this video in 2 parts or maybe 3, because it takes so long. Right now we have like a 28 minutes plus this video. So we are ready with ISE, and in the next 2 parts we will configure the network access device and also the supplicants, the Windows 10 device, to connect and authenticate on ISE. Basically that's it. Just breaking up the video in 2 parts or 3, because it's so many information. See you soon. God bless you. Bye bye.